Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of NASCAR's Biggest What Ifs. Clifford Allison, the son of NASCAR legend Bobby Allison, younger brother to Davey Allison, a nephew to Donnie Allison. Clifford Allison is one of the biggest question marks in NASCAR history. All things considered, there's a good reason for that question, considering the pedigree of racing royalty he was raised amongst. 85-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, and 1983 NASCAR Cup Series champion, father Bobby Allison. Big brother, Davey Allison, a 19-time NASCAR Cup Series winner, and a championship contender the couple seasons before his untimely death in 1993. Uncle Donnie Allison, a 10-time Cup Series winner himself, all from Hueytown, Alabama. They include also Red Farmer, Neil Bonnet, and Hut Strickland, collectively known as the Alabama Gang. Clifford began his racing career in 1983, racing in the Limited Sportsman Division, before moving up to the Late Model Division, where he recorded 3 victories, 43 top 5s, and 86 top 10s, along with the 1987 Montgomery Track Championship, before he and his first wife moved to Kentucky, where for a short time Clifford worked in a coal mine, before he moved back to Alabama to resume his racing career, divorcing shortly thereafter. His father, Bobby's Busch Series, now Xfinity Series team, served as Clifford's entry back into the racing scene, as he served as the team's crew chief before the team disbanded in 1988. By this time, Clifford had remarried and really got his driving career going, making his first career ARCA start in Atlanta, behind the wheel of his father's number 12 Piper Aircraft Buick, starting 5th and finishing 30th after a mechanical failure ended his race at lap 68. For the 1989 season, Clifford Allison made 3 more ARCA Series starts, behind the wheel of his father's number 12 Buick. All 3 starts were on super speedways, 1 at Daytona and 2 at Talladega. His best start was 17th at Talladega in the summer. His best finish was 33rd at Daytona in the spring. Unfortunately, he DNF'd all 3 races, so he never really got the opportunity to get the finishes that he had hoped for. A new decade, the 1990s, and for Clifford Allison, he got a new opportunity to run what was intended to be a full-time season in the Xfinity Series, behind the wheel of Frank Cece's number 34 Wantley Meets Buick. Though by the conclusion of race 7 at Bristol in the spring, Allison was released from the ride due to poor performance. In all fairness, he did DNQ twice in the first 7 races of the season. His best start was 19th at Rockingham in the spring, and his best finish was 13th at Daytona in the spring. 3 out of the 5 starts he did make ended in DNFs, so CC did have reason to release Allison. Clifford did not let this end his goal of being a stock car driver, though. That next season, in 1991, he attempted 4 Xfinity Series races, qualifying for 3 events, behind the wheel of the number 23 SealTech Buick for Clint Folsom, missing the season-opening race at Daytona, with the best start being 29th and the best finish being 6th, both coming at Bristol in the spring, scoring his first career Xfinity Series top 10 finish. Also having a reasonably strong run at Darlington in the spring, starting 36th and finishing a solid 14th. Continuing to get as much track time as he could, Clifford also made an ARCA start at Atlanta in the fall, behind the wheel of his father's number 12 Ray Bestis Brakes Buick, starting 16th and finishing 7th, 2 laps off the pace. As well as the ARCA start, Clifford also made 2 All-Pro Series starts, behind the wheel of a number 24 Allison Racing Buick. His best start was 20th and his best finish was 25th at Birmingham International Raceway. That following season, in 1992, Clifford Allison returned to the Xfinity Series to run the majority of the schedule for Owen Racing's number 91 and number 9 Oldsmobiles. He had some pretty strong runs, showing marked improvement as a race car driver. The season started at Daytona, of course, with Clifford Allison running both the ARCA and Xfinity Series races. In ARCA, he was behind the wheel of his father's number 12 Buick, having a solid day, starting 16th and finishing 5th. As for the Xfinity Series race, his race didn't go as well, starting 35th and finishing 29th after blowing his engine at lap 87. The next couple of events were Xfinity Series races, at Rockingham and Richmond, where Allison had a couple reasonable finishes of 17th and 16th. When the Xfinity Series visited the Atlanta Motor Speedway for the spring race, Allison had a forgettable showing, starting 36th and finishing 40th after crashing out on lap 3. The next 3 races, at Martinsville, Darlington, and Bristol, Allison had a couple more solid top 20 finishes in the Xfinity Series. 17th, 24th, and 15th. Clifford returned to the ARCA Supercar Series the following week at Texas World Speedway in the spring. This was by far the most competitive Clifford Allison ever looked in any series, definitely to this point in his short career. He started second, led 32 laps on his way to a second-place finish. A couple weeks later, Allison returned to the Xfinity Series, racing at Lanier, though he did not have a very strong run, starting 23rd and finishing 24th, 32 laps off the pace. Continuing his bid to get all the seat time that he could, the following week he was back in the ARCA Series at Talladega, starting 15th and finishing 10th, 1 lap off the pace. Once again, Clifford switched back to the Xfinity Series the following weekend to race in Nazareth. This was one of his stronger runs in the Xfinity Series, starting 30th and finishing again a solid 13th. Staying in the Xfinity Series the next couple of races at Charlotte and Dover, Charlotte didn't go as planned, starting 21st and finishing 26th after blowing his engine on lap 139, though at Dover, Allison scored his season best finish of 9th. For the following 2 events, Allison found himself in the ARCA Series, in the number 12 Sports Image Buick, at Pocono and Michigan. He had strong runs both weeks, starting 2nd and finishing 9th at Pocono, then starting 11th and finishing 2nd in Michigan, though, very sadly, his next visit to the track would have a very different outcome. It was back to the Xfinity Series for the next 2 races at Watkins Glen and Loudon. Watkins Glen was so-so, I guess, starting 18th and finishing 20th, 4 laps off the pace, nonetheless running at the finish, though. Now, Loudon, he was just flat off the pace, starting 42nd and finishing 37th after crashing out of the event on lap 94. Clifford returned to his father's number 12 Buick in the ARCA Supercar Series the next week at Pocono, having an even stronger run than he did a month earlier when the ARCA Series was there earlier that season, starting 4th and finishing 2nd. The following week, Clifford Allison would end up making what would be his final Xfinity Series start, though no one could have known at that time. In a way, I guess at least his final Xfinity Series start was at his home track, the Talladega Superspeedway, there in Alabama, starting 30th and finishing 17th. The final race that Allison ever ran was an ARCA Supercar Series event at Heartland Park, Topeka road course, starting 12th and finishing somewhat disappointing 27th. On August 13th, 1992, Clifford Allison was practicing for the Detroit Gasket 200 at Michigan International Speedway. He spun in turn 4, smashing the driver's side of his number 9 Oldsmobile. Bobby Allison and Richard Laysatter were the first 2 people to reach the accident scene. They said, and I quote, "The seat was ripped from its moorings," more or less meaning that Allison's safety restraints did not and could not have worked properly. Clifford Allison lost his life that summer day. Eventually, both Simpson Performance Products and Brian Butler, the equipment provider and the seat builder, were both held financially responsible for Clifford Allison's death, due to the fact that their equipment outright failed. Really, Clifford Allison was just getting his racing career started, and he was just the latest in a line of tragedies that the Allison family would experience, losing Clifford's brother Davey just 11 months later to a helicopter crash. So, Clifford only made 12 ARCA Supercar Series starts in his career, scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 4 top 5s, and 7 top 10s. Then he made 22 Xfinity Series starts, scoring 0 poles, 0 wins, 0 top 5s, and 2 top 10s. What do you think would have come to Clifford Allison's racing career? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you for watching, everyone, and take care.